Part 1. Baby Caterpillar was tired. All summer long, she had been traveling slowly through the green world where she lived, and feeding on the green leaves that grew near her home. Now, autumn had come, and Mother Nature had given a holiday to the leaves, who put on their new dresses of red and gold and played tag with the breezes. Baby Caterpillar wanted to play too, but could not run so fast as the happy little leaves, and she grew very tired and thought she would take a nap. So she found a cozy place among the branches of a grapevine and made herself a soft, silky blanket. Then she rolled herself away within it, and then, in her queer little cradle, went to sleep. One night, late in the fall, Jack Frost came over the hill. He spied the cradle swinging to and fro, and began to play roughly with it. For her, for he is a roguish little fellow, touch everything that comes in his way, but the warm blanket hid the little slipper so that Jack could not find her. By and by King Winter came, bringing beautiful snow blankets to Mother Nature's flower babies. He gently rocked the cradle as he passed and whispered, "Sleep, baby, sleep. You have no need of my blankets." At last, spring came with sunbeams, the best and merriest of Mother Nature's helpers. They awoke the flowers from their long winter nap and called to the birds and the brooks to begin their songs. When they came to the little brown cradle, they stopped to rest, and baby caterpillar began to get very warm under the thick blanket. She woke up and scratched herself, and her cradle broke, and she came also great the spring, but what a change instead of the old dingy dress that she once lived in. She, she now had a beautiful yellow one, and instead of crawling among the leaves, she flew out and away into the sweet spring air to play with the sunbeams and flowers, and the little children called her a butterfly. Part 2. Thought. So, Meg, you are talking about being in the military, and you said you were a medic. Can you explain what that is, Meg? Yeah, so a medic, which now I believe is called healthcare specialist. As I always say, it's kind of similar to being like a paramedic, where it's not a full nurse job. I think nurses have more training like in civilian side nurses, but similar to paramedic, where you have certain like minor procedures that you're trained to do at high level. Things than just an EMT like doing EVs and giving shots and stitches and things like that. And you train it because it's the military. You're especially trained for emergency situations and how to treat someone who has maybe some serious life-threatening wounds. So that's a medic. Wow. Third, wow. That sounds like a really difficult job. I mean, it's not your typical just shoulder job. You must have had a lot of schooling and education. Make. I had well, everyone goes through the initial about 2.5 months like basic training. And that's more kind of basic combat skill and physical training. that kind of thing. And then I had 4 months past that to train to be a medic. So we went through like emergency medical technician technician course, just like civilian side. I got certified with that, and then we had additional training for the military skill like EVs and emergency procedures, that kind of thing. So, right, can you explain what EV is? Meg, EV is an intravenous, like getting fluids into your body. So, if you've been injured and you've lost a lot of blood, or maybe you're dehydrated and you need some fluid in your body quickly, then we stick a needle into your vein and then the fluids go in. The needle come back out, but a little tube stays in, and then you can get fluids quickly that way. Thought. So anybody that's been to the doctor knows that is always kind of the anxious moment when the nurse of the person who is going to stick the needle in. Were you good at doing that, mate? So once I learned how to do it, I think I was pretty good and actually enjoyed doing it. Not in creepy way, but you know, it was, I guess, because I was decent at it that it was a part of my job that I enjoyed. But for myself, before we went through the training, I actually become dehydrated and needed to get an IV myself. And I was terrified because I really hadn't had that before in my life. And so the nurse was going to come, put the needle in my arm, and I was like, no, isn't there another? I'll just drink a lot of water. And she was saying, aren't you going to be a medic? And I was like, oh, I haven't tried it yet. Don't do it. So yeah, it's hard. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I was personally in the hospital and they had me strapped up for both blood and for the water, the intravenous drip, and it's annoying because you cannot really move. Like if you want to get up and walk anywhere, you strap it with all this too, and it's not very convenient. Right. Yeah, yeah. Or at least you have to careful. When I was getting the IV, I didn't know that the needle doesn't stay in your arm. Now, for some things, it does. For blood, maybe it's different. I'm not sure. But yeah, so I was trying to be so careful too. But you still want it to go well, so you don't want to move very much. Thought, right? So what percentage of people will you say freak out when they get the needle? Probably 90% or 95%. Thought, oh, really? Mate, yeah, even, you know, half army guys will come in and they be like, oh, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm fine in a bit. Well, we need to give you an IV. And they be like, oh, God, right. Yeah, nobody likes that. Make, no, thought. So, you transitioned. You were in the medical profession and then you moved to education. Why did you leave the medical profession for education? Make, yeah, that's interesting because I became a medic in the military because I thought after when I could continue college that I would be a nurse or a doctor, but my time serving as a medic helped helped me learn. That was not what I wanted to do for my career after all. So I'm glad that I had those skills and the things that I learned was able to experience. But I had English, had kind of been on the back burner. And so then I said, okay, let me revisit this. And it led to English education. Thought, wow, have you ever thought about being like an English specialist for people in the medical field, like teaching doctor and nurses? Mate, I guess I haven't to about the specific. Sometimes I talk about going back to military. They do have something like English schools in the military, and so I guess that will be related. Also, it could be, yeah. So that would be interesting, something to think about. Part three. One. The question: what kind of home would he want to have? He said he wants large to medium house with land. Two, the question, what would he like to live near? And he said he wants his house close to the natural landscape in Alabama. Three, the question, what do they talk about? They talk about the house yard around. Number four, the question, what does he wants in his ideal house? He wants private room for himself. Number five, retell that conversation with your onward, giving the detailed information. And the conversation starts with Todd asking Mark's dream house. And Mark explained his dream house and his ideal dream house and answered a lot of questions about his dream house from Todd.